This official mindbender. Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans is hands down for me the hardest Gundam series for me to watch, and also the deepest, and it's not because it's edgy, but because it exposes tropes that we as the audience usually accept in Gundam that we otherwise would be horrified at and would never accept in the real world, while at the same time flipping other tropes completely upside down. The story follows a group of child soldiers on Mars who are literally labeled human debris, orphans captured, experimented on, and fitted with separate ports drilled into their spines so that they can pilot mobile weapons better. After years of abuse, they finally rebel during a particular battle, killing their adult leaders afterwards and taking over the security group that used them. Mizuzuki August, the main protagonist of the show, takes control of an old Gundam that they happen to uncover. And after they killed their abusers and took over the company, they renamed themselves Tekkadan, or Iron Flower. Now, off the jump, IBO forces you to confront something that's been in Gundam since the beginning: kids being used as soldiers. Even Gundam Wing, a Western fan favorite, is about 5 teenage terrorists. They're not part of an army, not part of a nation. They're not even part of any kind of organized faction, really. They're independent cells attacking random military installations. And sure, while you can argue that one man's terrorist and another man's freedom fighter, the beauty of IBO is that it doesn't bother with those moralities or rationalizations. Instead, IBO shows abused, abandoned kids thrown into the battlefield with no moral compass because no one ever gave them one, nor did they have the chance to even really develop one beyond just surviving to the next day. Mizuzuki, for that matter, is basically a confirmed sociopath. He doesn't care about killing, he doesn't care about honor. The show even hints that while he was a street orphan, he was killing people on the random just before he got drafted into the security organization. And the only other Gundam series that comes even close to this level of honesty, in my opinion, is Gundam 00, with the characters Setsun Fse, who was another child soldier, a kid with trauma from Middle Eastern wars that never fully resolves itself until the final movie of the series, and Hallelujah/Alleluia, an adult who was taken as a child and then experimented on so badly that he ended up developing a second, more psychotic persona just to cope with it. Yet these, great as they were still by and large background set pieces with maybe 1 or 2 episodes dedicated to them. So what keeps Mizuzuki from becoming a full-blown monster is 1. Orga, the leader of Tekkadan, who was a friend of Mizuzuki since they were orphans. 2. Tekkadan itself, which is something of a found family of orphan soldiers who basically had just had each other to survive. And 3. An extended found family of 2 little girls and their caretaker who basically have a farm out in the outskirts, whom he helps out from time to time, and whom he sees the little girls as sisters, and is extremely, arguably, psychotically protective of. IBO hits even harder because the creators also decided to flip the Gundam classic rule that beam weapons were superior. In this universe, beam weapons are weaker against mobile suits, not the other way around. So battles tend to rely more on melee weapons and solid projectiles, basically. It's essentially medieval warfare with giant mechs. It's Gundam going medieval, literally. And because of that shift, and because that these are kids, the battles feel much more raw, much more high stakes, and much deeper and heartfelt consequences. The idea that your mobile suit can become your tomb has always been around in all the Gundam series, but I don't think it's ever been felt as deeply or as awful as it is in IBO. And that the show is constantly subliminally asking the question, why are these kids on the battlefield, is being voiced by different characters who joined Tekkadan. The one who arguably is the most vocal about this is Maribeth Stapleton, who really struggles with this concept, having 2 crash outs over the course of the first season. she spends the first season trying to understand why these kids are fighting at all. She's asking the very question that we're asking. Why are these kids even fighting? They shouldn't be fighting. Yet, it's these very kids that finally break it to her that they're not kids. Their innocence was taken a long time ago, arguably before they were even drafted into the security group. They look young, but they are hardened people, hardened survivors, hardened killers. And during the final battle, when Maribeth sees the body bags of Tekkadan's fallen kids, she breaks down and cries. And honestly, I can't blame her. It's heartbreaking. Abiyo also loves to recreate other Gundam moments, and the most devastating one is the death of Shino. Shino has always been the heart and jokester of the group. He is the one who is always being somewhat lighthearted, and despite having a hidden darkened personality like the others do, is pretty much upbeat and brings a lighter tone to the show and to the other characters. In season 2, during a failed coup attempt, Shino attempts a Trojan horse tactic on Gallahorn's flagship to kill Rustal Elion, the main antagonist of the second season. And this mirrors the classic Gundam 00 moment where Lock-On and Tieria get the perfect shot on the battle station Memento Mori thanks to Setsuna's last-second intervention that saves the ship that would have ruined the shot. However, this time in IBO, that recreation of a heroic moment becomes a tragedy. Shino breaks through the fleet with his Gundam, lines up the perfect shot, and then suddenly, Julieta, whom I can't stand this character and earned the hatred of all the fans after this moment, sideswipes him at the last second. The shot misses, and Shino, realizing that this desperate plan has failed, and in pure desperation, throws himself and his Gundam into a final suicidal charge, screaming almost at the universe as it echoes through space while he's basically wiped out and killed. His suit is destroyed and the cockpit, exposed, shows no body, probably obliterated by all the weapons fired from the support ships during his suicidal charge. There's nothing left of him. This isn't a heroic last stand. It's not stoic, it's not cool. It's not a teenager saying something cool. It's not a soldier giving some sort of stoic line about making the final moments count. It's not someone who feels that this is going to be a worthy sacrifice and that it's all worth it. Not at all. These are the final moments of a teenager, the heart of Tekkadan, the optimist, losing everything in one instance of failure. And the only thing that he can do after that is to hurl himself, knowing that it's not going to matter. It's gut-wrenching. And truth be told, I've only been able to watch the series 3 times because of that one scene. Now, what sets IBO apart from other Gundam franchises that also talk about death and so on is that the focus always remains on Tekkadan. Everything that happens to these kids, all the maturity, all the victories, all the tragedies, everything they're going through remains front and center. It's not about a grand war or some political ideology overshadowing the characters, which is what happens in other Gundam series. It's about the tragedy of these kids forming a organization that is well above their heads. And at first they get lucky, but as time goes on, that luck runs out. Tragically so. It's ironic that in the original writing of the series, all of them were supposed to die. And it was only, I think, the last minute intervention of some other writers who felt that even for Gundam, everyone getting killed like that was just too dark. So what we got at the end of season 2 was a compromise. Thank God. That being said, Iron-Blooded Orphans never let you forget that these are child soldiers, forced into becoming hardened killers that are seen by others as disposable, at least up until the very end, where some light glimmer of a more positive future shows itself. But before that, the only future that they're basically offered for 2 seasons is a metal coffin, a body bag, if they happen to get out of that coffin, or survival at the cost of fighting someone else's battles to fight even more battles for either them or some other person who sees them as human debris. It's not one particular moment or a couple of episodes. It's the entire 2 seasons hammering this reality home. And in my opinion, no other Gundam series has done it this effectively and this more heartfelt. And that's why, in my opinion, I think Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, for me at least, is probably my favorite Gundam series, and one that, because of that, I can't watch ever again.